Hey, what's up? My name's Kate Stevens. I'm an R&B singer-songwriter based here in Calgary, Alberta. Thanks so much for taking part in Music Calgary's Sound Off Summit Digital Strategies, taking place online from the Mokitnas in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. Before we begin, it's important to acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy. Siksika, Kahani, Bogani, Tisutina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all of the people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region. For future events, be sure to follow Music Calgary on all socials and sign up as a member on their website for more programming updates. Now the moment you've all been waiting for, please welcome Heather Saitz for a presentation on digital branding and the best practices for presenting your work online.
Take 20 million? Hey, my name is Heather Saitz. I work as a commercial photographer and art director. I have been very lucky in my career to be able to work with a ton of different types of musicians and artists over the years, helping them produce everything from stylized promotional photography to album artwork, music videos, of course. I've even been asked to do a couple of websites, so it's obviously a thing. I'm going to be talking to you today about your band's brand. So I put together this presentation. More specifically, I'm going to be walking you through how to visually represent your band in a digital space. So what this all ties back to is that big music marketing machine that ultimately gets people to notice your band, that gets people to notice your music, gets people to stream your music. Hopefully they want to come out and see you play live. It all sort of ties back to your band's brand and marketing yourself in one way or another. So before we get too far into it, I'm just going to take you through some of my work examples and explain a little bit about my process. I will put my website at the very end of the video so that if you have any further questions, you can always contact me through there. But yeah, let's just kind of dive into it and have some fun. So originally I went to school for photography, but then I went back to school after that and studied art direction, specifically creative advertising. So I've worked in multiple ad agencies and design firms over the years. So I definitely have a pretty good sense of what it means to brand something. Definitely working with musicians and artists is, always the most fun. It's definitely been my favorite thing to do over the years because it's so creative. And typically I find that the process is so collaborative. As you can see here, there's a lot of different types of work that I've produced with a lot of different types of artists. So all of this comes back to how they want to be perceived or how they want their artwork to look. One of the very first things that I do when I'm working with a new artist, or even someone that I've already worked with before, is I will start a Pinterest board. So I use Pinterest a lot because what I'm able to do is create a mood board in a sense and put a whole bunch of ideas down. The one that you see here is from a shoot a couple years ago. They wanted sort of like a sci-fi vibe to it. So in using Pinterest, I can actually go in and create a mood board, send that to the artist. We can collaborate. I can add them. This is where the whole process begins. I often forget, simply because I've been immersed in this world for so long, that the word brand or branding might seem a bit foreign to some people. What it all comes down to is building loyalty among your fans through your music, but also through authentic and thought out visual expression. So let me just elaborate on that a little bit. I think the best thing is to ask yourself a series of questions as a musician or an artist. It's really important not to be contrived, I think, in your branding. Who are you as musicians? How do you want to be perceived as an artist? What makes you unique? And ultimately, why do you make the type of music that you do? For example, I'm inspired by the Beatles, therefore my music has a 1960s vintage vibe to it. Once you really hone or dissect who you are as an artist, that will start translating into your visuals. So then you're able to work with like-minded artists, you're able to sort of express visually, maybe on a Pinterest board, how you want to be perceived. And it all comes back to authenticity. So I think that the very best brands out there, including with musicians, are authentic. So an artist who I really love right now is Phoebe Bridgers. I listen to her music. I like it enough. I have some of her songs on playlists. I would definitely go and see her play live. But the thing with her is that I'm really drawn to her persona and her overall brand. She's got like this cool girl LA kind of vibe, but I follow her on Instagram and she seems really genuine. She seems to have an authenticity to her in the things that she posts and the things that she writes. I love all of her photography that she participates in. I love her branding, this sort of like spooky concept that sort of translates throughout, especially to her website as well, if you go and visit it. So yeah, really love Phoebe Bridgers right now for everything that she's doing and for her persona. So love her or hate her, I can't do a branding presentation without throwing Lady Gaga into the mix. Although she is definitely somewhat embellished by music industry marketing bigwigs, I do think that Lady Gaga is coming from an authentic place from way back when. She is an artist who has a very clear brand, but her brand is tied to her why. So her brand is all about celebrating difference and personal liberation. She expresses that through her song and her lyrics, but also through her performative outfits, her willingness to redefine herself constantly, and most importantly, through her support for causes built around individual empowerment. I associate Lady Gaga's brand with less with her music, because really it's not that unique. But her persona is unique, and the things that she supports and her why is unique. So, of course, if you're Lady Gaga and you have millions and millions of dollars and an entire team of people to help you, yeah, you're going to have a really cohesive, streamlined brand. But you can also do that at a much smaller scale too. I love Calgary band Thomas. I love how much thought they put into their visuals. It all sort of ties back exactly to the type of music that they make. On their website, it says Thomas is living in the past, but playing music for the present. So through captivating visual aesthetics, planning, art direction, their vintage yellow aesthetic really combines the heart and soul of a bygone era with a powerful modern sensibility. It's fun, it's colorful, it's indie, it's nostalgic, it's exactly like their music. It is very possible to do something like this with a little bit of creativity and a little bit of planning. It just all comes back to those questions that you will ask yourself about how you want to be represented in a visual manner. Okay, so now you know what a brand is and what this means in relation to your music. And you've also got the music side of things down pat. You're talented, you're breaking ground in the local scene, you have a catalog of songs, maybe even an album. But what now? What's next? Well, it's time to start marketing yourself to a broader audience through the use of digital and social media channels and your branding. This is where social media comes in. I was going to change this slide. I didn't like how it said it's the best way to grow your audience and find new fans, but I am going to revise this right here and now. Social media in combination with PR, online streaming services, playing live, and just general hustle is the best way to get your band and your music noticed. So let's talk about what this looks like from a social media perspective. So first of all, there are many different types of visual content that you can produce for social media. The very first one is being promotional photography in order to promote your band, maybe a new release or an announcement of some type. These images will often be used for not only social media purposes, but PR purposes as well, and are typically a little more stylized and usually created by a professional. Another type of content for social media would be any type of behind the scenes footage. So these images will usually show the inner workings of your band or your music process. These could be shot in the studio, maybe it's before or after a show. Could even just be behind the scenes of your everyday life as an artist. I know for myself, when I'm on Instagram, I love seeing this type of content from musicians. It's also a really great way to build your brand on that authenticity side of things. So just to show a little bit more of a genuine, real life vibe to, your process and you as an artist. User-generated content is really great content to have. It's fairly easy to get. I would recommend creating a hashtag for your band and then encouraging your fans to tag you in their pictures or hashtag you. This is especially great for live shows. Make sure if you're reposting any of this content that you tag the original user. But other than that, user-generated content, it's really fun for the fans, and it produces, a little gallery of images under your hashtag or in your tagged photos that fans can go and look at for years to come, essentially. And finally, live imagery. So obviously live imagery, this is really great to have. I would recommend trying to get a photographer and or videographer at some of your bigger live shows. The bigger live shows are actually great because there's usually like a really nice stage setup that just makes the photos, kind of brings them to that next level. But yeah, live imagery is really great to use on all of your social media platforms. It's great to have if your user-generated content falls flat. So if you're not really getting, any usable images that night from fans from the show, you obviously have a professional backup. And live imagery, I think, is really great to show on websites, not only for your banners, but to create like a little gallery of sorts, just so fans can get kind of hyped about coming to see you play live before they even do so. Okay, now we're getting to the fun stuff. Music videos. Obviously a very important aspect of being an artist. Music videos are part of our visual language, a significant part of the culture and our consumption of music, art, and entertainment. They are also a great way to spend 5 minutes in the afternoon. I fully agree with that. Music videos are a wonderful extension of your brand. They are creative, they're moving, they're, engaging to the viewer. You have a real opportunity with a music video to fully captivate and win over fans. YouTube is the second biggest search engine over Google and the largest streaming music service worldwide, believe it or not. It makes hosting and discovering new music videos online very easy. This is a great way to boost your visibility, not to mention the fact that music videos produce amazing content for social media. Like I said, they're engaging. They're just really great to sort of put your best foot forward. So there are different types of music video production. The first one that we'll go over is conceptual. So the best description I can give is that this type of video is an artistic expression. There's an idea behind the video that doesn't necessarily include lip syncing, instruments, or even reference to the music at all. I mean, other than the fact that it's playing over top of the visuals. I personally really love these types of videos. I find them really engaging. I typically will watch them to the end, and they can really lend to your visual brand. They can sort of build suspense or build empathy. It's like a little mini film, actually. So speaking of little mini films, the next type of music video aesthetic would be a narrative music video. So a narrative music video is essentially a short film. An artist who often produces videos like this is Flying Lotus. So he will make a music video and then submit it to the Sundance Film Festival. He has worked with director Khalil Joseph, who made this short film for the release of Flying Lotus's album Until the Quiet Comes. So what a great way to release your album, working with, a really famed director to team up and produce a short film that's going to be entered into film festivals. That is the ultimate transcending the music video format and reaching out to a broader audience. So the performance video is a classic video format. It's traditionally a live show format. These types of videos are fairly easy to produce. You just need to hire a photographer or videographer to come to a live show, and then you edit it from there. But you can get more creative, and that's why I really love this Vampire Weekend video. First of all, I love this because you don't need a ginormous budget to do something like this. They obviously had budget for this, but where it really is so strong and it is in the art direction and the concept. It's just kind of simple, but it's a really creative take on a performance video. And finally, we have lyric videos. We've probably all seen these at some point in your internet journeys. A lyric video serves more of a practical purpose. Usually it's a placeholder until the actual music video can be made, or it's a video for when the artist isn't available for the shoot. Oftentimes they're a less expensive option. Don't get me wrong, none of these things are bad things. Lyric videos can be very creative, very beautiful, very cool. I love this one that Mariel Buckley did. So yeah, lyric videos are definitely a viable option, especially for artists that are just starting out. Tips for producing your music video. Number one, this might be the most important thing, is find who you want to work with based on their aesthetic and their style. Before you even do this, maybe do some research, see who's producing work that you love, brainstorm, and find other examples of videos that you love, and then choose someone based on that aesthetic. Ask yourself, how do you want this song and you as an artist portrayed visually? So that comes back to your brand. And finally, it's a good idea to try and secure funding. So obviously we can do music videos on the cheap, find people that want to collaborate with you. But typically video production is very time consuming. It can get very costly. So this is where grant funding comes in. But definitely a good rule of thumb is that if you are wanting to produce a music video, just know that there might be some type of funds involved. Okay, last section in this branding visual representation presentation, having a website as a musician. As a band, you might think, well, we're on all the social media channels and streaming sites. That's enough. Why do we need a website? Every band should have a website regardless of what stage they are at in their music career. And here's a few reasons why. The first reason is it's really great to have everything about you and your music in one place. When someone hears about your band, perhaps a fan, a promoter, a record company, it's ideal to be able to send them to one place to listen to your tunes, read your bio, look at your pics, find tour info. You can't do all of these things on a social media channel. The second reason, it looks like you care. So if you care, other people will care too. It looks professional and polished to have a band website. I personally think that musicians should be treating if they want to get serious about things, be treating their music career like a freelance job. So, constantly hustling. And to me, a website shows that level of seriousness and that level of professionalism. It adds to your visual brand. I think that at this point in the presentation, we all know that all of these visual elements help add to your brand. If you get a chance, go and check out Anderson .Paak's website. It is so beautiful. It's done on a massive budget, of course, but it has really everything. It's got a link to his nonprofit. It's got a gallery of images. It's just a really, really, really beautifully done website. And finally, if nothing else motivates you to set up your own website, you get to keep the profits from selling through your own website. So when you set up an online shop on your own website, you're not having to pay third-party fees. So you get to keep more of your money from your merch and your record sales. So that's a really good reason to set up your own site. It's really easy to have a website these days. Bandzoogle is a content management system dedicated to music websites and selling merch. So it's a great system to use. It basically operates on a drag and drop type templated format. If you're familiar with Squarespace, it's very similar to that. And Squarespace actually also offers a lot of really great templates and a really great e-commerce platform as well for musicians and artists. So these are the two sites that I would recommend looking into if you are really curious about setting up your own website. Thanks for making it to the end, you guys. Hopefully you learned something today. Hopefully this was informative and I've answered some of your questions. I'll put my website here on the screen somewhere, wherever I decide to put it in post. Feel free to email me through there if you have anything else that wasn't answered today. And good luck with everything. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.